A little bit about the importance of humility in the Christian life and the importance of humility when it comes to being um, uh, having this conversation about racism. When it comes to being white, when we're talking about racism, I think of a story in Scripture where Jesus is with his disciples and he's looking at two different people in the temple area. There's a religious leader who is saying, "I'm so glad I'm not like these other sinners. I know that I'm righteous." And then there's a man that falls on his knees before God and cries out for mercy. "Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner." And Jesus says the one who is crying out for mercy is justified. The one who thinks that they're righteous isn't. And I think this is very important as we try to understand the sin of racism in our lives. If we, like the religious leader, think that we know when we've done everything right and when we've done everything wrong, that we like taking the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, which we weren't supposed to have, that now we're able to figure out when we've sinned and when we haven't by ourselves, and then go before God and know if we're justified. That defeats the purpose. Instead, this man that falls on his knees, let me give you a different view on this. Not only did he have sins he knew about, but he knew that he was a sinner, that this was more than about his choices. It was more than about the things he decided to do willfully, that he had a bigger problem and that he needed the grace of God. And so when it comes to racism, this is so important to the starting point of being white in a racist America. The only way that I think white people can truly come to the conversation about the sin of racism is like that man, and to fall on our knees and say, "Have mercy on me, a sinner," not just for the sins I know about, because you might be somebody who's a white person, for instance, and you may say, "You know what, I have not done anything consciously racist. In fact, I have made a conscious choice to not judge anyone by the color of their skin, to treat everyone equally, no matter what their racial background is, and so I'm not racist." But that is not what it means to be a Christian when it comes to sin and humility. To be a Christian means to come before God and to come before our neighbor humbly and to say, "You know what? I recognize that there are things that I can't see right now. I have blind spots where there might be sin in my life." And so we come before God and we ask God to have mercy on us nonetheless, because we don't want to be like the Pharisee or the religious leader who thinks that we know it all, who thinks that we are able to have the knife and go, "You know what, here it is. Here's the line between right and wrong, and I know when I've done right, I know when I've done wrong, I know if I'm racist, I know if I'm not." No, we don't. Something that's been so important to me as a Christian is certainly to work on the things that I know I do wrong. Those are the things we give the most energy to because they're the things we're aware of. Um, but to have in relationship with other people more awareness about where there's sin in my life. Not only because I don't want to hurt people and I don't want to do wrong. It's not just because I think I can make myself perfect by finding all my blind spots and fixing them, but I want to be saved. I want to be whole. I want God's grace to reach every part of my life. And very simply, I believe that it's not until we fall down like that man and we realize that there are parts of us that are blind to us that we don't know about, and we want God's grace to reach those parts. We want God's grace to redeem us in those parts. So white Christians should be very willing to come to listen to the voices of people of color, their cries when they talk about racism, and to say, "Have mercy on me, a sinner," and to not be like the man who goes, "I know that I'm righteous. I already stand good with God, and nobody can accuse me of anything." Now, as a Christian, we are always, from the moment we come to Christ all the way through our lives, we are coming saying, "I know I miss it." And so, to me, it is so crucial, and I'm very suspect of any Christian, and when it comes to a conversation of racism, who is able to say, "I'm not racist. I don't struggle with that sin. That's not a sin that I have issues with." And I go back to my other videos about self-determinism and about how sin works and how we understand it to stick to us even when we didn't choose for it to. But yeah, humility, utmost key when it comes to this conversation, when it comes to growing in our salvation, when it comes to understanding sin.